Good morning, children. And here we are, it's Friday. And at the end of our first week of remote learning, it's also the end of term and the beginning of the Easter holidays. So I thought it made sense if we talked a little bit today about Easter, about traditions around the world and how we celebrate Easter in our community and in our country, and how people in other parts of the world celebrate Easter. Easter is a happy time for people who are Christians all around the world. And in the UK, we have many fun and colourful ways to celebrate Easter. However, it's not just about chocolate bunnies and egg hunts. In fact, there is a very special religious reason that people who are Christians celebrate every year, and we can learn a lot from it. The story behind Easter involves Jesus. When Jesus was crucified on the cross that makes a symbol of the Christian religion, of course, his body was then put in a tomb. During this time, people were sad and they grieved for his death. Finally, after 3 days, it was time to remove his body from the tomb. When Jesus' friends and family arrived, they found his body was missing. Jesus had risen again. He had risen up from the dead. And although he could not stay on earth as he did before, he did stop to say goodbye to a few people and let them know he was okay. This let them know he was safe and happy and still in the lives of Christians. So, why do we celebrate Easter? We celebrate to remember the sacrifice that Jesus made for people in order to save people from their sins so they could go to heaven. And this is really important to Christians. And in many ways, Easter is a far more important holiday to Christians than Christmas is. More importantly, Easter Sunday helps us remember the day that Jesus came back from the dead. Although he is not here, he is still present in the heart of people who are Christians. So what on earth have rabbits got to do with Easter? What have eggs got to do with Easter? Well, if you think about it, eggs produce chicks. Eggs are about new beginnings. Rabbits are about spring. So it's also about these things that are going on at the same time, these changes that are taking place in the world at this time of year, how the flowers are coming. We can see the daffodils already out, how leaves are appearing on the trees and so on. It's a symbol of return of life. And that's why we think of animals, particularly rabbits, spring rabbits. We think about eggs producing chicks. And all of these things, after that cold days of winter, they come and they make us think about the future and what might come. So as well as being a very important festival to Christians and about rebirth and about the rebirth of Jesus, some people also feel Easter is an important time to think about spring and the rebirth of life. But the things that we do might seem fairly strange if we think about it. But actually, I'm going to share some stories of things they do in other countries. And you might think that some of the things we do actually aren't that strange in this country. Let's travel right across Europe to Italy, to Florence. Because in Florence, at Easter, locals celebrate a 350-year-old tradition called the Scoppio del Carro, or the explosion of the cart. And an ornate horse and cart is packed with fireworks and led through the streets of the city by people in old-fashioned costumes. It stops outside the cathedral, and then the archbishop lights a fuse, and a huge explosion takes place. And that, in Florence, marks the beginning of the Easter celebrations. Well, that was strange enough. What about some other countries? Well, in some Scandinavian countries, like Finland, the children like to dress up as witches, and they go begging for chocolate in the streets. They wear makeup and put scarves around their heads and carry bunches of twigs decorated with flowers. Sometimes people have bonfires, a bit like we do at Guy Fawkes. People have bonfires at Easter. And the idea is that the flames will keep the witches away. So it's a little bit like Halloween, but they celebrate that at Easter. Oh, what about in Poland? We're going to the east now. Pouring water on one another is a Polish tradition called Smignus Dignus. On Easter Monday, boys run out with buckets of water and squirty guns and try and soak as many people as they can. And there's a legend that if you're one of the people that gets soaked by one of the boys and you're a girl, that you may fall in love and be married the next year. What a strange tradition that is. Oh, what about in France? Now, we've talked about eggs already, but what about a giant omelette? Well, don't forget your fork if you're in parts of the south of France, because each year they make a giant omelette in the town square. And then we say giant, we mean giant. I've got to read this number. The omelette uses more than 4,500 eggs. 4,500 eggs. And it feeds up to 1,000 people and takes up to 100 people to carry it. What a strange tradition. And that's all to do with a famous Frenchman called Napoleon, who apparently visited that part of France and made the people gather up all the eggs and make him omelettes. Right, let's head to Greece now. So we're heading south across Europe. And on the morning of Holy Saturday, the day before Easter Sunday, the traditional pot throwing, not pet throwing, pot throwing ceremony takes place on the Greek island of Corfu. People throw pots and pans and other jars and earthenware from their windows, smashing them onto the streets. What a strange thing to do, throwing all your pots and pans out of the window. But it's supposed to welcome spring, and it's supposed to symbolise that new crops are going to grow and everybody will get plenty to eat. Goodness, what strange celebrations they have in some countries. What about if we go to, let's see, and it's not just in Europe. Let's go over to America, because in America, for over 130 years, at the White House, where the president lives, they've hosted an Easter egg roll. It involves rolling coloured boiled Easter eggs with a large spoon, and the competition is to see who can roll their egg the furthest. And they have an egg hunt, and they have sports, and they have crafts. So, again, quite different things going on in those countries. And if we look around the world, and it might be a nice thing for you to go find out about after the assembly, you'll find that in different countries they have lots of different traditions and lots of different things going on to celebrate Easter. For us, of course, it's also the Easter holidays. Now, this has been a strange week at school. Not normal. You've not been in your classrooms. You've not been seeing your teachers in the same way. But you've been learning and you've been working really, really hard. Now, I know a few of you thought I might be doing a celebration assembly today. And I want to explain why I'm not doing a celebration assembly. Because when I spoke to the teachers yesterday, and we were looking at all the work that you guys have been submitting online, we felt it was just impossible this week to actually say somebody deserved the golden certificate. So, although we will carry on with celebration assemblies, today we're not going to have one. We're going to finish the term thinking about Easter, thinking about the holidays, the time that we're going to spend with our families, the things that we're going to do together. And I'd like to wish every single one of you out there a wonderful break. Enjoy spending time with your families. It's going to be a little bit different perhaps to other Easter breaks we've had. Probably won't be going on holiday, may not be seeing as many members of your family, but you're with the people that love you and the people that care about you, and that's the important thing. So I'd like to say to all of you, all of our Woodlands family, God bless and have a wonderful Easter holiday. Thank you.